Hello, guys. Risk is inevitable. Risk is a part of living, and in a way, I may suggest that it is natural to embrace risk. I think that living in itself requires that we take risk. Risk is not something that is really optional to those who want to live their lives. For those who just want to be alive, you may be able to escape risk. I am not even sure if that's possible. But yeah, and you're asking what is the difference between being alive and living. A person can be born and be locked in a room for 12 years or for 15 years. That person is alive but has not begun living. Because when you say to that person that the clouds are beautiful, he or she cannot relate to the clouds because they have not experienced the cloud. For you to be living, you are experiencing life. You are not just existing. So we are designed to live and not just be alive. I need to state that very clearly. We are designed to live and not just to be alive. If you are determined to embrace purpose, if you are determined to fulfill purpose, to find destiny, to find relevance, then you must commit to living. And if you are committed to living, what I'm trying to say here is that risk is essential to living. Risk is an essential commodity for anyone who is committed to living. A few years ago, I wrote a quote, and the quote, I'll try to remember it. It says that if you are afraid to live, you are already dying. And if you are afraid to try, you are already failing. Should I say that again? If you are afraid to live, you are already dying. And if you are afraid to try, you are already failing. So a person who is alive but afraid to live is already dying. And if you are committed to the experience of living, to unveil yourself, to unravel yourself, to unlock your potential, then you must take risk. For many of us in this room, you took an Uber or you took a cab or some form of transportation to get here, but you may have realized that while you were driving here, you were not the only vehicle on the road. So it means that however safe the vehicle you were in is, your safety was not 100% guaranteed. Because anything, God forbid, could have happened on your way here. So you're leaving the house to come to this place was a risk. Do you agree with that? So every single day, that's my second point here, is that every single day we take risk. Intended risk or unintentional risk. But every single day, if you are truly living, you are taking risk. You may not know it, you may know it, but you are taking risk. Just coming out of your house in the morning is a risk. Just living with a neighbor is a risk, right? So basically, every single day, we are taking different forms of risk. Maybe less consequential risk, but they are risk nonetheless. So every single day, we are taking risk. So number one is that living requires risk. Risk is an essential commodity to living. And number two, every single day, we are taking risk. Number three is a very interesting one, is that even your life is a risk. And you're asking, how dare you say that? Yes, I may dare to say that even our lives are risk. Why? Because there is a maker, there is a creator. When God made us and designed us, He took a risk on us. Because we must all agree that not every one of us will meet the requirements of God for our lives. Do we agree on that? Not every one of us will attain to our purpose. Not every one of us will attain to destiny. Not every one of us will be a success. That's the truth. That's the fact. So even when we were created for success, it was a risk. That the investment that was made in creating us may not pay off. It may not pay off. Because not every one of us will actually unbundle the potential that are locked within us. Not everybody will really become the fullness of their true selves. So even your very life was a risky investment. The creator, the maker, our Christ and our King, who made us, took a risk to make you. And the you that is made is afraid to take risk. Because the risk that was required for your making is also required for your fulfillment. Do you understand what I'm saying? The risk required for your making is also an essential requirement for your fulfillment, for your life to attain that measure of fulfillment. So life is not just a risk, but your very own life. You are a risk. That's what I'm saying to you. Yes, you are a risk. And we may even want to bring that even to the cadre of our parents. Because even your parents who invested in you took a risk on you. Not every child will make the parents happy. Am I correct? Not every child will make the parent happy. So even you are a risk, not just to God, but you're even a risk to your parents. For those parents who invested in their children. Because many bad children sometimes have good parents. That a child is bad does not mean that the parent is bad. So a good parent takes a good risk on a child. It doesn't mean that the child will come out the best child ever. So even your parents, our parents, have taken a risk on us. So risk has been established to be a critical aspect of life. And the reason why I thought it very important to discuss on calculated risk, or in other words, how to manage risk, is because of how essential risk is to our lives and to our success. There is a reason why you wear your seatbelt. When you drive your vehicle, there is a reason why you wear your seatbelt. Because it's not that you are planning to have an accident, but you understand that your very experience in that vehicle is a risk. So you take caution by putting on a seatbelt. And many of us, we go through life without wearing seatbelts as though there are no risks to be taken. But there is a reason why we wear seatbelts. Is to prepare ourselves against possible risk of driving in a vehicle. And I've seen many young people engage their lives and engage marriage and engage business and engage even their spiritual journey without preparing or calculating for risk. So people have come to me either seeking investment or seeking a loan or seeking some kind of help, and they come to pitch their ideas to me of a business. And many times when they speak to me, one of the things I have seen as a predominant occurrence is that they emphasize on all the prospects of the business. And I hardly hear people telling me about the problems of the business. When they come to speak to me about a man they want to marry, they tell me about all the prospects of the suitor, but they don't talk to me about the problems of the suitor. It's almost like they're trying to convince me about everything that is good of the business. So I want to start this business, I want to sell this, I want to sell that, and they highlight to me the 10 reasons why that business can never fail. The reason why that business is essential, the reason why they need to invest, or why I need to invest in that business. And when they speak, I wait to hear them educate me on what could possibly go wrong in the business. Because if you prepare for the prospects and you don't prepare for the problem, you are bound for failure. In everything. Even in your work with God, in your commitment to marriage, in raising up children, you prepare for the prospects and you also prepare for the problems. You must be equipped to embrace the prospects, and you must be equipped to combat the problems. And you can't combat the problems that you have not prepared yourself for. And many times we are only prepared for prospects and not for problems. We are prepared for success and not for failure. And nobody is teaching us how to take educated, calculated risk. And that's what I'm going to attempt to do today. So let me try to bring some definition to risk management. If you're writing, write this down, please. Those who plan to lose or live a failed life have nothing to risk, except that they themselves have become a bad risk. Did you get that? Yes. So those who plan to lose, or some will say who have nothing to lose. A person who has nothing to lose is somebody who is already planning to lose. I mean, because I don't see any relevant person, sensible person, who has nothing to lose. So a person who has nothing to lose is obviously a person who is committed to losing, right? So those who plan to lose or live a failed life have nothing to risk except that they themselves have become a bad risk. And it's very critical that I begin to bring this category in this conversation by saying that such a person is a bad risk is also to suggest that they are good risk. Am I correct? So I've said that we cannot necessarily say we can all avoid risk. We can't say that. So if we cannot all avoid risk, it's important to begin to now categorize it. So there is good risk and there is bad risk. So I said also that we are a risk by nature. But many of us are bad risk, many of us are good risk. So when God took a risk on us, or your parent took a risk on you, they took a good risk if you have small brain on your head. Right? But if you are committed to losing and you don't care the outcome of your life, you may not be putting anything at risk, just that you yourself, you are a bad risk. To anybody who is associated to you, even to you yourself, you are a bad risk. Is that making sense? So let me try to define risk management, or what you can call calculated risk, but let's call it risk management. Risk management is the ability to identify, to assess, to control, to eliminate, and to minimize threats to your ideas, to your business, to your life, and to your profiting. Should I say that again? Risk management is the ability to identify, to assess, to control, to eliminate, to minimize threats to your ideas, to your business, to your life, or to your profiting. And there are many aspects of this definition that I want to bring up very critically. And you have the word there, identify. You have the word there, assess. You have the word there, control. You have the word there, eliminate. You have the word there, minimize. So these 5 words are embedded in this definition, and I'll try to run through them very quickly. But to be able to properly work these realities together, you require 2 ingredients. You require courage and you require wisdom. Risk by nature requires courage. Just to wake up this morning and step out this morning requires courage. Because, I mean, you may want me to sound very spiritual and very strong, but there are many mornings I've laid on my bed and I didn't feel like standing up. I didn't feel like going out. Because the bodies of life sometimes tells on you. You just don't feel like going anywhere. So it takes courage just to stand up and face every day. So for you to have the ability to manage risk properly, you require courage and you require wisdom. So let me ask you a question. Okay, I don't have a bag. Okay, so let me have maybe Damilola, let me have that bag, the problem power bag. All right. So I'll just give a simple analogy here. So stand here with me, Damilola. So this is a bag. I'm not very sure what's inside. I don't think you know what's inside. Do you know what's inside? Mike, do you know what's inside? Do you know what's inside? No. So I'm not sure what's inside. Do you know what's inside? Okay, very good. So I want to sell you this bag for 1 million naira. Would you buy it?
No.
Why won't you buy it?
I don't know what's inside.
Do you trust me?
Yes, I trust.
So, but I'm giving you this bag for only 1 million naira. Only 1 million naira, Mike. Just 1 million naira, Damilola.
I will not.
You won't buy this. So, thank you, Damilola. So now, you see, what Damilola just did, no, leave it here. What she just did is what many of us do with life. Many times, life will present you with bags like this with a high price. Before I made her the offer, I asked a number of you the question, do you know what is inside? Oh my God. And then I made her the offer. When I made her the offer, I would have assumed that she would have also asked me, what is inside? So many times, life has thrown to us or given to us opportunities in a small bag like this, in a very unassuming bag. And it seems like the price tag is a bit too much. And we say no without even asking what is inside. What if I told you, Damilola, that right inside this bag, there is $20,000? And because of course, the Naira devaluation, it may appear that, because, 2 bundles of $10,000 can fit into this bag, correct? Even 3 bundles can fit into this bag. And $10,000 is about 1.5 million naira now. So it means that $20,000 is about 3 million naira now. So in this bag, possibly, there is $20,000. And I liked it so much, I said, buy it for only 1 million. And you said no without trying to take the time to understand the content. Millionaires and billionaires and truly successful people do not say no to such offers. The first trigger in the mind of courageous people is to first ask, what could be in the bag? Not to say it's too expensive. Because that's why you said no to it. If I asked you to buy for 2,000, you may have said yes. Because when you picked it up, it had some weight to it. So whatever is making it weighty could be worth 2,000 naira. Am I correct? So the reason why you probably picked offense at my offer was because why would I pay 1 million naira for such a small bag? And many great things come in small packages. Many great things, many great opportunities, many great future are unlocked by small packages. And many of us do not have the courage to take it because we don't understand the power of courage. So if you are committed to such a future, the first instinct is, what is in this bag? I asked that question, do you trust me? Did you follow the sequence? And the reason why I asked you that is because if you truly trust me, you know I won't cheat you. So if I'm offering you a bag for 1 million, it means that that bag must be worth more than 1 million naira. And the reason why we say no many times to what God offers to us is that we don't really trust God. We say it, but we don't believe it. Because if you truly trust God, you will know that there must be something in this bag that is more than 1 million. If He's saying I should pay a price of 1 million hours in prayers, 1 million hours in learning, 1 million hours in giving, there must be something in this bag worth more than the seed. Because usually, whatever God asks from you is a seed. Because His intention, He is a harvest giver. So normally, the things He's demanding from you is always a seed to help you merit the harvest He intends for you. But it takes courage and wisdom to embrace it. So a true risk manager must have these two ingredients. You must have the courage and the wisdom, because it's those two ingredients that would have made her accept my offer. Or at least probe me a little bit and say, what is in this bag? Because something that could change her life, maybe. I have paid certain prices for many things just out of courage. And they say, Apeh takes a lot of risk. No, it's that there's a cultivating of a heart that will make me dare things that most people will not dare. And then you are wondering why the outcomes are showing. It's because you don't want to try or to risk the things I am willing to risk. And it takes courage and what? And wisdom. So let's get back to the definition of what? Risk management. Thank you. So the first thing is to identify. To identify. So the reason why it's important to identify, like I said from the beginning, is that when you begin any venture, marriage, business, school, ministry, whatever it is, you must prepare for the prospects and prepare for the problems. So you must identify, expect the unexpected. Identify that there's risk here. I want to go into selling shoes. What are the risks involved? I need to, number one, get the quality shoes, get the right vendor to buy it from, right? Find the right market. So you in asking those questions, you can now identify the risk. Okay, that people wear more sneakers than they wear covered shoes. So you need to identify the risk. Some of us don't have the eye to identify risk. And then when we finally even identify the risk, we don't have the courage to combat it. But you must first begin to cultivate the eyes of your mind to identify. When you see a man showing you a risk, identify it. The way he talks to you with loud voice all the time, the way everything, if you are trying to make a point that does not align with his own point, the way he gets angry very quickly, identify the risk now. One day is with his mouth, the other day is with his hands. Identify the risk. I'm not saying you should not marry him because of it, but at least identify it. And I'll tell you why you need to identify it. Because you cannot assess it. That's the next point. You can't assess a risk that you have not identified. Am I correct? For you to analyze the risk, you must first be able to identify the risk. So now this is his attitude, the way he talks to you, the way he talks to your parents. You have to not start analyzing that thing, but you can't analyze it if you have not even seen it. Your mother is trying to tell you that, is that the way he talks to you all the time? And you are not even understanding the question your mother is asking you. You are going into business and, we are asking you some kind of questions and you are feeling offended. That question we are asking you is to help you to analyze a risk that we have identified. You see that now? So you must, whatever you want to do, marriage, business, career pursuits, job, identify the risk. The way that man that you want to take the job from is touching your hand, is interview. Okay, can you ask me the questions and leave my hand alone? All this, my dear, that is calling you 15 times in 5 minutes. Can you identify the risk of taking that job? All right? The salary may be more, but have you taken time to identify the things you may have to let go if you take that job? I see what I'm saying now. So, first is that you identify the risk. Whatever it is you want to do, identify the risk. You want to bring a nanny to your house, have you taken time to identify the risk of bringing that girl as a nanny to your house? The way she likes wearing spaghetti and bomb shorts. Oga, sir, I know your wife needs help. But there's wrapper, there's skirt, there's t-shirt. The way this girl likes wearing spaghetti without bra to clean your parlor when you're always there. Have you taken time to identify what? The risk. Then you now assess it. Is it worth it? Or should I just rather call my niece and my cousin to come and help me? Take your time to identify risk. Do not assume that everything, I know you have faith, but do not assume that everything will go the way you planned it. Nothing really does. Nothing really does. So you must identify the risk, then you analyze it. So when you analyze the risk, that's number 2 now, you check 2 things. Actually, this is a very important point. When you want to analyze a risk, you analyze it by 2 major ingredients. Write it down. The possibility and the impact. Or the probability and the impact. And when I say that is to say that if there's a risk that this business will fail, or if there's a risk that people will not pay me the money for this thing I want to sell, what is the possibility or the probability that it will happen? Number 2, what is the impact of that possibility? That if the thing happens, how bad will it be? I see that now. Because sometimes a risk may be possible, but it has low impact. Are you following that now? And if it is possible, but the impact is low. So let's take, for example, that you want to employ a house help, right? And the only risk is that she doesn't speak good English. And you are concerned that if she's not speaking good English, it may impact on the way your children speak English. However, you speak good English to your children, and from the school, they speak very good English to your children. So it's possible that this girl will not speak well, but is that a high impact risk? I don't think it is. Because she's one person out of 50 people in the house, and they are all speaking very good English. So, but she's good, she's well behaved. She has good character. Just she doesn't speak good English. So is that a big risk? She can speak very eloquently, but she has very bad character. That's another kind of risk. It's very possible that she come and exhibit very bad character. So is that a high impact risk? I follow what I'm saying now. So you have 2 possibilities. One is low impact. The other is high impact. You want to buy things to sell. You analyze the impact and analyze the possibility. How likely will this problem occur? The likelihood is low, but the impact if it occurs is very high. Or the likelihood that it will happen is very high, that they will owe me money, but the impact of them owing me money is very low. I seen that now. So that's how to analyze or assess risk, by the possibility of it happening and by the impact of it happening. The third thing I'll talk about later, I have just 12 minutes now, which is the reward. Because you want to check the possibility of the risk, the impact of the risk, but the reward of the risk. Is that making sense to you? So sometimes you may do something that has high possibility, sometimes it may even have high impact, and then it has very high reward. Some people will still jump into it, you know what I'm saying? Because the reward is very high. But other times the reward might be very low. Am I correct? Number 3 is control. And this is what I wrote here. And please write it down. The greatest risk is the lack of control. So many times we get ourselves into things that we can't control. I'm not saying that you should have control, like, be in control of life. No, I'm just saying that whatever you're committing yourself to, you must be able to exercise a measure of control. You cannot take a job that takes your life away. You cannot commit yourself to a man that just takes your right to choose away. Because you need to have some level, some measure of control. Right? So now you have identified the risk, you have analyzed the risk. Can you bring some kind of control to the risk? You know why? Because it's that control that will give birth to number 4 and number 5, which is to either eliminate or to minimize. So I have now taken this nanny. I have not seen that the risk is high impact risk, right? How do I analyze? How do I control the risk? Is that I won't employ her again. That's the control. That's the control. Or let's say she's always poorly dressed and showing her body everywhere. How do I control the risk? Is to give a mandate that from now on, this is what you wear. So you see that I don't have to eliminate her if I can control and minimize the risk. That's what I'm saying now. So I either eliminate the risk or I minimize the risk. Now that I have seen that this girl is a good girl, but maybe from where she came from, this is how they normally dress, I have one of two options. I cancel out the risk completely and say, okay, I won't even employ her. But what if the reward of her coming to stay in the house is very high? I will now find a way now to minimize it, because sometimes to eliminate a risk completely is a risk in itself. Or you have a business proposal that somebody brings to you and you are worried that this thing looks like it's very promising, I can make a lot of money, but the risk is too much. The risk is too much. The impact of the risk is too much. So what do? I can either find a way to renegotiate the deal or find a way to walk away from the deal. Even in doing so, it's a risk I'm taking. That if I walk away from the deal, when you say it's high possibility, it could be 60-40, 70-30. That there's a 70% chance it will happen. The bad thing will happen. But there's a 30% chance that it will succeed. So when I walk away, I'm walking away also from the 30% chance of success. But it's now up to you to exhibit your control. That even though I have 30% chance of succeeding, I choose to walk away from that. Are you seeing that now? So when you see a risk, you identify it, you assess it or analyze it, you define your control over it, and then use that control to either minimize it or you eliminate it. All right? And you need to also cultivate the wisdom. That's why you need courage and wisdom to minimize risk. Because sometimes the risk that we assess can be minimized many times. Even with a man, he may have that temper problem, but if you now stay longer with him, you will come to realize that it's the work pressure. It's his current job that makes him flare up easily. Right? So maybe in time, if he grows on that job or finds a better job, that tendency you see may be highly minimized. Or because he has not had anyone in his life that truly loves him, so he doesn't know how to control his temper. You know what I'm saying? So if you find that you can minimize the risk, then you can also take the risk. But if you find that you cannot minimize it, then please, you walk away. Because sometimes the smartest thing to do is to walk away. Just walk away. I'm a walker. I've walked away from many deals, many people. Before I met my wife, I met really, really pretty ladies, and trust me, I walked away. So let's find a way to bring a close to this. And let's do a small experiment, okay? So let's look at risk generally under the two things. So do we say possibility or do we say probability? Right? Then impact. The truth is that I would have loved to also do reward, all right? Because I think that, when I began to think a lot about risk years ago, I usually think about risk only based on the probability and the impact. But as I began to meditate on my recent life, I realized that it's also important to analyze and assess risk on the merit of reward. Because sometimes the reward outweighs the impact, however bad the impact is. And so let me give you a good example. If you come to me now with an investment portfolio of 1 million naira, that investment portfolio may come with very high risk, may come with very high impacts, which means that there's probably an 80% chance I will lose that money. And then also, maybe it comes with high reward. Do you think I will do it? Maybe do you think I'll do it? Huh? Why do you think I'll do it? So let me tell you why. Bear in mind that how much is the money I said? Very good. So you come with an idea for 1 million naira, but it has very high probability of risk. It has high impact. That means we could lose the whole money. But there's also high reward. We could make 3 million naira profits from that 1 million naira investment. For me, oh my goodness, this is powerful. For me, it is not a bad risk. For somebody else, it may be a very bad risk. You know why? Based on my assessments, let's say in my account, I have 20 million naira. So 1 million is something I can walk away from. So that's how to analyze control. But if you start to bring 100 million, then it is a very... So the last line, just about the space for it, would have been remarks. The remarks. So let's take the remark for this. So for me, it would have been a good risk. 1 million naira, high possibility, high impact, high reward. I can walk away from 1 million, to be honest. I mean, do you understand? 1 million won't really change my life. So I can walk away from it. But if you say, let me put in 100 million, 200 million, now I need to begin to assess it from a different pedestal. So on the merit of the volume of investment now, that high risk, high reward, high impact now becomes a bad investment for me. I say, no. 80% chance of failure for 100 million, I won't do it. No, sorry, sir. Okay? The same way for some of you, 1 million will be a big deal. But if I say, give me 10,000 naira, again where I go put them, we can make 30K in 3 weeks. For many of you here, it's nothing. I buy shawarma for 10,000 naira and go to toilet the next morning. Right? So you do it, am I correct? You will do it. And I don't have the time. Otherwise, I will explain to you how to replicate simple risk. Because that's where many people failed in MMM. Even though MMM was a scam. You put in 100K and you made 200K profit. If I ever had done it, because I never did it, I will put back only 100K. For the next 1 year, 2 years, I will put more than 100K. In that 1 year, I'll probably make 2 million naira profit. I will still be putting only 100K. But many people, they put 100K 3 times, double the money, and went and borrowed 20 million that their father doesn't have. Even they don't have. If you add all of them together, 5 children, they can produce 3 million. They go and borrow 20 million and put in it because they want to quickly double it. Many of them, it was at that point that the spirits and demon of MMM made it to crash. You see that now? Because they didn't know how to manage risk exactly. So if you were smart, if the 100K is giving you double money, just leave the 100K there. If in 1 year time the thing crashes, it's the 100K you have lost, but you've made 1 million naira. So in a way, you never lost anything. But many people, when they now saw that, they became excited. The same thing I do with business. There are several brands in Nigeria that have been destroyed because they grew too fast. They were doing very well, and they began to grow too fast. So they began to expose themselves to the potential of bad risk. All right? We have done well in our businesses. I'm not eager to open new branches. I will leave it for the next 5 years, 6 years if I must. And just be happy where it is. Because sometimes if you grow too fast, it can become a bad risk. So let's come back to our table. So what if you have high possibility but low impact? What do you call it? Good risk. It's high possibility, but the impact is low. That's also good risk. And whether the reward is high or low, it doesn't matter. But because the impact is low, again, control your exposure. Always control your exposure. All right? What if you have low possibility and high impact? So bear in mind that if we're not looking at the reward, for some people, high possibility, high impact is always bad risk. Normally, let me state that very clearly. Normally, high possibility and high impact are usually bad risk. So normally, when you see that, usually I would advise you to walk away. And don't be deceived by high reward. So even though the reward is high, the only thing that will make you commit to a high reward risk is that if your exposure is very small, an amount you can easily walk away from, or a thing you can easily walk away from. For example, if a lady is showing you signs that she's carrying demons, don't risk her around your children and say, I have cameras in my house. Does camera stop crying? You know what I'm saying, right? The lady is showing you that she came with ancestral demons. That means she's high possibility, she's high risk. And you say, but I have a very busy job. I need somebody at home with my children. So you think that it is high reward. And you say, I have put 25 cameras in my house. Will the camera hold the hand of the demonized nanny or demonized cousin or demonized younger brother or relative? No. If that person is wicked, they are wicked. Cameras doesn't change anything. So even though it looks like there's high reward, usually when you see high risk, high possibility, high impact, usually, please walk away. The man is handsome, he's good looking, but the way he likes, watching naked women on his phone, and you have seen many things on his phone. He's high reward, he has a good job, he's traveled, he's good in UK and came back, his cousin lives in America. I know, but it's high possibility, high impact risk. Please, sir, please, ma, walk away. The girl is beautiful, good shape, good whatever, but you are seeing very high possibility of terrible risk and very high impact. Just walk away. So once you say high, normally walk away. However much the reward is looking like it's high reward, many times that high reward is a trap. Just walk away. Just walk away. So you have high possibility, high probability, and low impact. I mean, that's usually a good risk. You have low possibility, high impact. Now this many times could be both, especially when you consider the exposure. If the exposure is still very high and the impact is very high, it may still be a bad risk. You know what I'm saying? That most times nothing really happens, but so if you have that kind of scenario with very high impact, if you must go into it, then you minimize the risk. And how do you minimize it again? Reduce your exposure. If it's a relationship that has low probability but high impact, how do you minimize it? You don't know, you are young, let me tell you now. Extend your courtship. That wedding you are planning to do this year, April, move it to December. Extend the courtship, give him more time so you can annoy him better. I feel what I'm saying now. So that's the way to minimize it. You want to do an investment and you're saying that it's low probability but high impact, delay the investment. Just delay it a bit more. Take your time. Then I think we should have one more. You can have high. Yeah, you can have low and low. And this one is very easy to tell. This is a good risk. With anything that you're doing, it's a good risk. So impact, the reward may differ. It may be high reward, it may be low reward. But I'm just trying to say to you that it's good to keep the reward in view, but don't allow the reward to deceive you so badly that you jump at a high probability, high impact risk because of the high reward. Sometimes even the high reward is a trap. So be very careful about that. So I think that I've done the best I can do within 40 minutes. So we'll bring this to a close and then hopefully we'll have a podcast later and discuss this more. Thank you guys. God bless.